Hello, everyone. Welcome to My Canada, My Concern. This is our first episode because many things are happening in Canada,
Mm.
and as young people, we want to be part of the solution. There's a saying that if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem, and we don't want to be part of the problems of what Canada is today. Because the Canada back then is completely different from the Canada now. I actually liked the Canada back then. It was more economically, it was more favorable to me. Uh, Security wise and safety, I like the Canada back then. And the Canada today, man, is completely different. So I'm here with a special guest. Ebuka is a student, is a professional, is into community building, is a community leader, and is into politics as well. So Ibuka, tell the audience more about yourself, what you do before we dive into this conversation.
Hello, guys. My name is Ebuka, and I'm a political analyst and student. So I graduated from University of York University, and I'm a specialist at elections, volunteering, for government, and basically writing as well. So that's my strong point, and I'm excited to be here. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you've been here for more than 10 years,
yeah, close to 10 years.
close
Yes.
to 10 years. So, have you seen any difference between the Canada that when you first arrived in Canada, or the Canada that you know, and the Canada now that you're seeing?
Yes. Canada of now is more polarized. I think back then there was more collaboration. It was like a dawn of a new era, the Justin Trudeau era, right? 2015, autumn, he became the prime minister, and from then to now, I just see more division. I see healthcare like worse. I see society actually more fractured than before, right? I see the cost of living up. I see our reputation going down, the Canadian
Mm.
reputation around the world internationally. So I noticed that, and I feel like this is a change election. This is a time of kind of a revolution as such in terms of the political system and the political analysis, right, is different. So I just see more strained, the people more agitated for change. I think there's a
Mm.
change election. So that's why I've noticed, yeah.
So you're saying that this election that is coming up, it's not just a normal election, but a significant election, just like the U.S. election, that will
Mm-hmm.
really change the trajectory, the scope of what Canada is moving forward.
Exactly, yes.
Mm. So today, I really want us to have a conversation, opinion based, because some of the things that we're gonna say is based on our own opinion. Trump really like taking hit
Mm-hmm.
on Canada, especially trying to make Canada become part of the U.S. and the trade war. I don't think Canada we are prepared to face the U.S. because the U.S. economically they are bigger than us. Militarily wise, yeah, they are stronger than us. But what's your take on Donald Trump concern taking over Canada?
To be honest, I think Donald Trump is a negotiator. He uses these tactics to unbalance his opponents. I do believe the 51st state comments is just trolling
Mm.
sometimes. Um, but to be honest, he feels like Canada is taking advantage of America, right, economically, and he believes that the balance needs to be redressed so that it will be more equal. They'll be on more equal footing. Basically, Canada is a proud nation. I don't think they'll become part of the US. They don't want to, the people. But Trump is a negotiator, so let's see how it plays out.
So you don't believe that Trump really wants to invade or take over Canada, but maybe Trump just want to like just like every other country, not just Canada, even Mexico too,
Mhm.
and the EU, where Trump is saying that America first, make America great again, and that agenda that he has to make
Mhm.
America great again. Any country that has been taking advantage of America, or any country that has a dealing with America that has not been favorable to America,
Mhm.
the agenda and the goal of Trump is to make America more favorable, more beneficial to these countries, and Canada is one of them. Canada is no exception, even though we're a close neighbor
Mhm.
to the U.S. But Donald Trump is really coming at us.
Yeah, he made it clear America first, the American citizens first. So any type of imbalance between any nation, China, Canada, he's talking about taking back the Panama Canal and all that. very America-centric. So he's trying to balance it out, the interests of Americans, yeah.
He's trying to pitch the idea to us Canadians to be able to accept his idea and promising us that it's gonna give Canadians a better life than what our current government is.
Right.
I feel like Donald Trump is able to stand up to us as Canadians is because of the leadership that we have in place. I think Justin Trudeau, because he sees that Canada is fragile in our leadership, our government is fragile. We're not, like you mentioned, we're not respected in the world anymore, right? We're not as strong as we assume to be in the eyes of the world. So Donald Trump sees some weakness in the Canadian government system and is taking advantage of that. And I believe if we had strong leaders that would have been a voice for us, I don't think some of the statement that Donald Trump is making, Donald Trump would have made that statement.
Well, clearly that plays out. You're right, because the federal government were in a state of flux, right? We're in a campaign season. Right now, we don't have a prime minister. Well, we do have a prime minister, but there's a race, right? He stepped down. So we need to elect someone by March and then won a federal race. So right now, we're in flux. We're not stable. And so he's taking advantage of that lack of leadership and
Yes.
lack of clear mandate, right? So, yeah, and that's the fault of the liberals, I feel.
I mean, we don't right now we don't have a national leader. You understand? And the leader that we had has stepped down because of so many reasons. Because because of the economy, because of the housing crisis, the homelessness, the drugs, the safety and security of Canadians. As much as every country wants to make their country first, we as Canadians, we are entitled to make Canada first, to make Canada great, to be proud Canadians. No matter our diversity, we are all in the sovereign nation.
You're right. And that's part of nationalism. I feel what Trump is doing is making Canadians more united in defense of their country. I feel because this is like an American thing, right? Americans are proud. But right now you have the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford. Canada is not for sale, right? He's pitching that. So it's going to bring us together. Normally, we're not unified as Canadians. There's no national identity. Right? Who is a Canadian? You have the black Canadians. You have Chinese
Asian
Canadians,
Canadians,
Asian, right? So right now it's more unified message of I'm a Canadian. I'll stay a Canadian. America, do your own thing.
So I like the fact that you mentioned that this Trump situation is actually unifying us, where no matter our diversity, because what makes Canada unique, especially in big cities like Toronto, Montreal, is our multiculturalism. Because
Right.
not everywhere in Canada is multicultural. Even though sometimes we try to identify Canada as multicultural, that is not true. It's just in major cities that Canada is multicultural.
You're right. That's a
So
good point.
we have to speak the facts. You understand? So, this Trump thing has actually opened the eyes of Canadians, no matter their culture or no matter their race.
Yeah.
Us coming together, as long as we live in Canada, we are citizens of Canada legally. This is gonna make us stronger. This is gonna bring us together to defend our sovereignty against the U.S., against Donald Trump.
And it really is a good political game, right? Have different parties pitching in, the Liberals, the Conservatives, NDP. And I do believe that this is going to play a part in the federal elections because
Yes.
how leaders react, to Trump plays a part in the political season, the campaign season. So very interesting to watch. You're right.
Trade war between Donald Trump and Canada. I know Doug Ford is really like trying to fight back by buying Canadian. We live in a global village where we have to import and export. We have to trade with the U.S. because NAFTA, that's a trade organization between among U.S., Canada, and Mexico, and the U.S. is our close biggest trading partner. So if we start bringing our market domestically, it's gonna affect both the U.S. and Canada.
You're right, because the industries are intertwined, right? The auto sector of Ontario and different provinces have different links to the U.S. So Ontario is going to suffer. You have the Premier talk about 500,000 jobs potentially lost. That's a big deal, and that's going to affect the Ontarian economy and the Canadian economy. Ontario is a powerhouse, right, and employs a lot of people. So it's going to be very interesting, and we pray that the tariffs, whatever the case or whatever the form may be, we are united in defending our interest in Canada. Yep.
I mean, with the Canadian manufacturing and exporting, um, I mean, you have the U.S. market as well, which is huge globally. Every country trades with the U.S., including Canada as well. And do you think Canada is well prepared of anything, of any tariffs or any restrictions when it comes to trade between the U.S. and Canada? Do you think we are prepared to be able to face the restrictions that the U.S. will impose on us?
Personally, I don't think so because every province has their interest. I mean, you have Alberta with the oil sector very intertwined with the U.S. Economy, and the premier says you're not going to touch our oil. We don't want it, right? And for there to be an effective response, provincially there has to be that unity, provincial unity in terms of response to the tariff. We're not getting that right now, right? There's different interests in BC, in Saskatchewan, in Ontario, right? Different premiers have tougher response. I know Doug Ford in Ontario has a tough, like dollar to dollar response. Not so in Saskatchewan and not so in Alberta, right? So I don't see that unity. No,
Wow.
and the politics plays the part, right? And everyone has their interests. So no.
I mean, if the Canadians are not happy, because Canadians are not really happy with their own government, and Trump is really taking advantage of that. That's why some, I don't want to use the word majority of Canadians are susceptible to the idea is attractive that Trump is presenting to Canada to make Canada the 51 states of America and promising to give us a better life. Because he sees that Canadians are not happy with your government. Canadians are not happy with their sitting current government. So this is the best time to take advantage of that. But as you're saying that we as Canadians, we still believe in our country. We still believe that Canada can become great again. And this will help us to become nationalistic. This will help us to identify a common Canadian culture, a common Canadian national identity that we don't possess at all.
You're right. I mean, it's a smart tactic by Trump, divide and conquer.
Yes,
He sees
yes,
it, he sees the divisions and he's exploiting it. But you're right. It's just a matter of what is the best for Canadians. And Trump is preaching in that it's going to be good for us, healthcare and all that. But I do believe that Canada has strengths that the Americans don't have, and we need to preserve that national unity, right? So that's my position.
What's left for Justin Trudeau?
That's a loaded question.
Because at this time when Canada is in crisis, without a leader, without a national leader, and we're dealing with economic issues, homelessness, security, housing, and we don't even have a federal government that is functioning, effective, seeking the interest and the well-being of Canadians, what's left with Justin Trudeau? Resign? What's left with him?
The answer to that is March 9th, right? Because that's when the Liberals are going to pick the leader. So from now to March 9th, he's going to be the prime minister. So he's going to handle negotiations with Trump. And we know how that has gone in the past. Trump has come up tops, right? So it's interesting. It really is how he's going to manage that relationship. I mean, he's in a weak position, very weak position in comparison with Trump.
We need a tough prime minister. We don't need a weak prime minister.
You're right.
Especially the times that we are in, we need a tough leader.
He just doesn't have that mandate because he's going to be out in March. Trump is going to be.
Who do you think likely will replace him?
Carney and Freeland.
Freeland.
Yeah. But I do believe it's going to be Carney because Freeland is very connected with his policies, right, in the past, until she obviously stepped down because of, the budget. But she's been his closest lieutenant, very close to him. Carney, yeah, because of his past record, I see him being the candidate, for leadership. Yeah. Fine.
Wow. Well, guys, that's a wrap. My Canada, my concern.